AITA for laughing at my mum when she was crying after she touched my girlfriend's stuffed animals. Throw away. My girlfriend, Tia, F24, and I, M27, have been together for 2 years and actually just moved in together. My girlfriend sleeps with stuffed animals, a stuffed narwhal and one of those plush toy dogs. Tia's childhood was shitty, and if she finds comfort in stuffed animals, so be it. She's in therapy, and if her therapist says that it's not an unhealthy attachment in any way, then I'm fine with it. This is just to clarify that it's not an unhealthy attachment. She's not dependent on them throughout the day, and this is not to age play kink. I don't want you guys armchair diagnosing my girlfriend. Usually, because she doesn't want people to judge her, she'll usually wake up and put her stuffed animals in the closet and take them back out when she goes to sleep. My mum shows up at our door unexpectedly with bags in her hands, adamant that we let her stay for 2 nights. Tia said okay, despite her arrival being a total surprise, and began to prepare a room for her. During this time, I was actually at work. Tia tells me that my mum was adamant on opening all the drawers and cupboards, searching behind stuff, checking the countertops to see if she cleaned it properly. Tia asked her multiple times to stop, but she didn't listen to her. Then, of course, she finds Tia's stuffed animals. Tia, at first, tells a white lie about how they belong to her nephew, but my mom keeps touching them and playing with them, which Tia doesn't really like people doing, and Tia asks her repeatedly to stop touching her stuff. Tia describes as accidentally using the possessive pronoun where she asked my mum, in her words, "Stop touching my stuffed animals." My mum finds this extremely funny for no apparent reason, and apparently started laughing at her, calling her demeaning names, and insisting that her son, me, break up with her. Tia, feeling embarrassed and demeaned, asked my mum to leave and began calling her a ride. Imagine my surprise when I get a phone call at work from my mum, claiming that she's sitting outside our apartment block waiting for her ride to come because Tia screamed at her like a bitch and told her to not come back to our place ever again. This was particularly odd, cause Tia doesn't yell. My mum sounded like she was on the verge of tears. I tell my mum I would figure everything out. I call my girlfriend. Tia is audibly crying. She apologizes profusely for kicking my mum out and explains everything to me. I, appalled by my mum behavior, call her back and explain that I don't believe her, etc. She then begins to cry. She is full-on sobbing. I accidentally let out a small laugh, as I thought it was manipulative. This is the second time she's told Tia that she's not worthy of me, and I wasn't having any of it. Once everything passed, my mum got mad at me for crying at her trauma, so automatically my dad is mad at me, and Tia is suggesting I apologize. AITA, edit, thank you so much for all the responses and all the awards. It was completely unexpected. Thank you once again. Tia is a bit more calm now. She really appreciates all the people in the comments telling her that it's perfectly normal to sleep with a stuffed animal. Thank you! Exclamation mark. NTA and do not apologize. Your mother is a horrible abusive BH and your father is an enabler. When she doesn't have you and your dear girlfriend to kick around, let him take her evil behavior and see how he likes it. If I wasn't clear, I'm suggesting a long time out for the two of them. NTA. Your mom was shitty to your GF, and lied to you about what happened. A trauma was not being allowed to trample your GF more. Your dad wants you to apologize because asking you, a reasonable person, to stabilize the boat is easier and more likely to happen than asking your mom to stop rocking it in the first place. Has your mom apologized at all? I'm betting not. NTA. Your mom sounds like she is trying to drive a wedge between you and your girlfriend. You did the right thing by defending your girlfriend and not letting your mom manipulate you into siding against your GF. Your mom wasn't traumatized. She was extremely rude to your GF, then forced to live with the consequences of her actions. NTA, your mom is way out of line. Nothing she did was appropriate. Keep standing up for your girlfriend and put your mom on a timeout until she apologizes and TU is ready. Can't think of anyone who wouldn't kick me out of their house if I went through all the drawers and closets while they were repeatedly asking me to stop. Edit, thank you for the silver. Edit 2, wow. Thank you everyone for the awards and thank you nice stranger for my first gold. AITA for yelling at my girlfriend because she's too environmentally friendly. I know the title sounds bad but please hear me out. My 28 meters girlfriend, 29F, is very environmentally conscious, which I also agree is a great thing to be. However, she often takes it too far in minuscule things and I have finally reached my breaking point. I can probably name many more instances but here are a few. A few months ago while driving to dinner there was an accident on the motorway and we were stuck in traffic on a hot day. It was over 33 degrees that day, that's 91 for you Americans, and we were stuck in traffic baking in the car for almost 2 hours. During this she refused to turn the car on to have AC, not because of money but because it was bad for the environment. I mean, I get it, running your car while standing still is a waste, but when it's that hot. I ended up showing up to dinner drenched in sweat, extremely uncomfortable, and had a terrible time, but I kept my mouth shut and we continued on. I have worked remotely from home since the start of Corona while she still goes to work every day. Since we're getting into the winter months here we almost never see the sun during the day. It's almost always overcast. One day she came home early and saw that I had the light on during the day. If you ever work from home and it's dark all the time you know how much it can influence your mood and productivity, plus who wants to be sitting in the dark all day, right? She got extremely upset that I was wasting energy. Mind you, we have super efficient Philips LED lights. I told her that I only waste a few cents a day in energy, but of course she refused to acknowledge that she may be wrong. Yesterday was finally my breaking point. I had taken advantage of Black Friday and bought 4 items that I had been wanting from 4 different stores, saving almost €200. When I told her about my exciting purchases she got extremely upset that I would purchase things from 4 different stores as that was 4 delivers, which is bad for the environment, and said I should have bought it all from one place, which would have been way more expensive. I had enough. I flipped out on her and told her if she cares so much about the environment she should go protest the big companies that are actually contributing to global warming and stop nagging me about. She got upset and left. So Reddit, I know the environment is important, but AITA? NTA. But you know who sucks? People who put all the blame for climate change/environmental crisis on individuals. Of course we should all be doing our part. It sounds like you are, but it sounds like your girlfriend is the sort of person who shames people for occasionally using a disposable bag or taking the elevator when you could climb 12 flights of stairs. But guess what? It barely matters. The vast majority of pollution comes from large corporation and poor systemic practices. If your GF wants to channel her rage at someone, maybe she can work on climate lobbying or activism, or organize for better practices in your municipality or region. But putting blame on individuals is not only rude, it doesn't actually do anything other than virtue signaling. NTA. Life is about balance, and constantly criticizing your partner for wastefulness isn't going to accomplish anything positive. Let her know all her talking is just creating more CO2 and toxic fumes. Your girlfriend is cherry-picking environmental concerns. And this doesn't sound like environmentalism as much as it sounds like being compulsive and controlling. Unless the two of you are completely living off the grid, growing your own food, walking and not driving, etc. She leaves a carbon footprint all the time and you are the doormat she's wiping her feet on every day. I think you need to ask yourself why you have put up with this for so long. You need to start speaking up regularly and setting some limits on her. It's worth the argument to preserve your self-worth and your relationship. NTA. There is a difference between wasting electricity and using electricity. You use electricity to turn on a light when it is dark out, no matter what time of day, and you need to see. You waste electricity when you insist upon using an incandescent bulb because no one is going to tell you what bulbs to use in your own house, or when you turn the lights on in areas where no one currently needs them. She needs to get a grip and use common sense. NTA. AITA, for walking out in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner after my brother-in-law announced my sister's pregnancy. I 36F went through an incredibly hard time losing my baby while I was 5 months pregnant with him. This has affected me both physically and emotionally. I don't have kids and my husband and I have been struggling for a long time trying to have kids. My sister has been supportive of me. She's 7 years younger than me and has been married to her husband for 2 years now. She visited me several times to see how I was doing. Her husband, however, seems to have an issue with me personally. He's always been treating me poorly and acting like he's somehow superior to me and my husband. My husband doesn't see my family much, so this wasn't an issue, especially when my brother-in-law comes over. My husband and I were invited to Thanksgiving dinner at my mom's house. We got there a bit late because I was taking care of some tests at the hospital that needed to be done so that my doctor could see them the next day. We sat at the table. My aunt was present. She lives alone, so she always visits, and casually talked about several things. I noticed my sister and my brother-in-law were whispering something to each other, and at some point I heard my sister tell her husband to knock it off. We were confused. We had no idea what was going. Next thing I knew, my brother-in-law got up from his seat and announced that they were expecting. I looked at my husband and he was shocked, but not because of the news but the way it was given. My sister hid her face in her hands and did nothing else except that. It took me time to process this while my aunt got up and started hugging and congratulating my sister. I don't know what suddenly happened to me. My heart started pounding and my husband was already gone to the bathroom to wash up. I just gathered my things and took my purse, then told them to finish their dinner, then I walked out. My sister was sitting there the entire time and just watched me and my husband walk out while my mom was trying to convince me to stay for a little longer. I felt absolutely horrible. I only lost my baby 2 weeks ago, and for me to be taken off guard like that is just horrible. I got no calls nor texts from my sister wanting to talk. Nothing, but my aunt called me to tell me what I did was totally inappropriate and that I should have stayed, and congratulated my sister and her husband. Even berated my husband for not reacting differently. I argued with her that my brother-in-law did it purposely and that he could have picked a better time but instead chose to spite me and my husband while still grieving our baby. My aunt still thinks I should have acted in adult way and not walk out on dinner like that. NTA. A 5-month miscarriage is on the edge of being classified as a stillbirth. Might have been post the viability point. You are grieving, and that grief deserves respect and compassion. Block your aunt. Don't talk to her anymore. Put your sister and brother on do not disturb and don't talk to them. I know you didn't ask for advice, but I've found therapy with a therapist who specializes in pregnancy and infant loss helpful. Resolved.org has a good list. I'm so sorry for your loss. NTA. I completely agree with you. Losing your baby only 2 weeks ago at 5 months pregnant is very hard. You are still grieving a tremendous loss, and your Bill had no couth in announcing their healthy pregnancy at a family gathering. He and your sister are here. This shit is so hard. I would have also walked out too. Hugs up. Edit, I meant aunt, not sister. You lost your baby 2 weeks ago and Bill thought this was a good time to announce. NTA. I'm sorry for your loss. I can understand they wanted to tell family in person while people were together, but they should have at the very least warned you beforehand or waited until Christmas. Preferably both. At this point it's very clear that he has a problem with me. He's always been behaving like he has control over my sister, telling her when to visit me and how long she should stay there. He's not a nice person and tends to be controlling and selfish.